chat here. Okay. Are you gonna have that many
All right,
viewers? I mean, it's pretty
welcome.
late in
All right,
America.
so
right now.
welcome. This is Nukemarine presenting the Easy Guide for Japanese
Cool.
Literacy, a course series for self-study Japanese from basic and beginnings up to intermediate and hopefully advanced. All right, so today it's not really that. It's a discussion with Yogapants. Do you want to give your real name or just Yogapants or first name or anything?
Lucas.
Lucas.
Yeah, I mean, I say Lucas on my screen. Yeah.
All right,
Or
so
my.
yeah, so this is Lucas here. He's fluent or skilled in a few languages, more than just English and Japanese, but also Chinese. And your original language is German, or?
I mean, it was Portuguese, but I mean, that's my worst language right now. So, of the languages that I consider myself to speak, that's my worst language, Portuguese. And that was my original native language, but yeah, that's my worst language.
Okay, so if you go into his videos, and I'll be linking down below, can't do it right now, but I'll link that down below so you can kind of see an introduction about himself. You know, again, he also talks about himself in some other plales, so you do have that. Yeah, those of you on my channel kind of know my history and whatnot. So obviously he's fluent in Japanese, and Matt, via Matt versus Japan gives him the peta tag and whatnot. I am not fluent in Japanese. I'm barely good at English, but the idea here is, again, he posted a recent video because, again, I mentioned it, I think it was Sunday or something. Matt kind of threw this grenade out into the community of his where he's saying, oh yeah, let's just do lazy kanji or something to that effect. And also some other thing, hey, let's not do kaiken, let's do this vocabulary book, and a few other things. And it wasn't...
Can I step in for a moment?
Yeah,
I don't want to say he said that. He said you see, it's often misinterpreted what he's saying. He didn't actually say let's do that. He said perhaps it's better. These are things that I'm thinking about. That's
right.
What he's saying.
And he's
just sharing with people, and people should just slow down a little bit, and don't jump on what he's saying as if that's a final decision yet, because when it's a final decision, or when he's come to a final conclusion, let's not say it's a decision, when his conclusion has been made, I'm pretty sure he'll make it very clear. All right, go on though.
All right, now, and again, I was to kind of stress, like if you watch the video, and it's an hour-long video, he actually is a bit more detailed, a bit more reserved in what his comments are, and that he knows that because he's at that advanced stage, he's at that fluent stage, and it's sometimes hard to put himself back. He can't time travel. He can't go back and experiment with himself. So if he has an idea that like what worked for him, it worked, but that doesn't mean it's the best way to do it. And same idea is like for me and yourself, like what worked for both of us early on, because that's what we had available, may not be the best thing now with what's available. And so we kind of have to tread carefully in that people who come up to us and wanting advice, in that they're going to want, if you give them a definite path, they're going to follow that. And if you give them like, oh, you might want to go this way, you might want to go that way, they all of a sudden get kind of paralyzed with choice. So I think with Matt's crowd, they were like Matt because he was saying, yeah, this is the way. And once he made it to where, oh yeah, there's also options even at the beginning stage, that threw some confusion in the air. And so again, in the Discord channel, there was quite a bit of drama was drummed up. And I do think though, like you said, this could be pulled back and like be put back in order in a way. And I'd like to. That's why I want to discuss that with you.
May I jump in one moment?
Sure.
May I jump in one moment? So you just said for a moment that he said now there are choices.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so what was originally said when, he originally had already admitted that, what he was prescribing before was for a niche audience, right? For a niche audience, it was for age adders. It was something different. It was something for, it was for someone who wanted to reach a very high, extremely high level, maybe 90 whatever percent, 98%, or whatever it is, right? Or age at 90%. But now, this was after a lot of, I feel like a lot of this was due to the discussions that we had also together. And that's, we realized not everyone needs to have those goals, and the ideal method would encompass everyone's goals. Because there must be an ideal way to study to whatever level you want, right?
And the ideal would change.
And this is what MIA is. It's the input hypothesis applied to a goal with a time scale. That's what it should be.
Right. And what's going to happen is, like, okay, depending on goals, I don't even think really everyone's goal probably is going to be literate. If ultimately they want to be literate and fluent in Japanese. Now, whether or not that means I can write kanji calligraphy in a beautiful style and be posted in a museum, that's probably a different goal from being literate and fluent in Japanese. So I think though, if we start from the beginning, and we can discuss real quick ideas. So the first thing was kanji. That's the thing to where wanted to reply your video, because you're almost saying like, don't even worry about kanji for the first year. At least that's one option that you're thinking about.
Yeah, it's one option.
Right.
I mean, it's not what everyone should do. That's not what I said. I said if someone's goal is to be fully fluent, and I mean, if you want to be a native-like level, that's already a long term to begin with. Focusing the first year on pronunciation really has no impact on that, and it'll only benefit you, in my opinion.
And also, as again, you also mentioned not just kanji, but then later on is focus on pronunciation instead of. I think if I remember your video really correctly, because again it was about an hour long, and then.
Go ahead. Yeah. I'm that's how they're going to be. They're going to be rambles, because I'll put some bullet points up, and then I'll talk about them as I get to them.
All right, but then at the end, you kind of that's when I was realized, okay, yeah, you were kind of right there. Now, the way I've been approaching Japanese, and I think it's what's been helping recently, is I've been looking at okay, let's think of it as a beginner basic, intermediate, and an advanced thing. So beginner basic is you're kind of using your native language to learn Japanese. Again, RTK, it's an English keyword, and you're given this character. The vocabulary, here's this English definition to help you kind of relate it, or a picture or something related to the language you know. The sentences, okay, here's a translation of the sentence, so you kind of get across in your native what this sentence is trying to convey. Not a literal translation, but here's what we're trying to get across.
Sure.
So that's at a basic stage. Okay. And I think for Japanese, and again, I'm pulling this number out of my ass, but I think 500 kanji, which is about 75% of kanji used by frequency, the top 500 kanji, and maybe 2,000 vocabulary words, probably is in that basic stage. That's probably N4 level stuff. So okay. N5, N4, or Genki 2, or the 2 books, the Tango books.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not familiar with any of that, but sure.
All right, so this is basically I'm saying no matter what it is, though, it's also about the immersion. So even when you're doing all this, you should still be immersing, and how you study it, it really, and in my opinion, it's not really going to give it. None of it's going to really matter as long as you're learning something new. So if every hour you learn 15 new things about Japanese, if you've studied for about 100 hours, you now learn 1,500 new things about Japanese. But if during all those during the time from when you first started that study hour to that last 100th study hour, if you haven't been immersing in Japanese, then again, it's sort of like that whole thing you said about you just got a parlor trick. You haven't internalized any of this information in a way that where it's supposed to be used. You learn these words and know that, so the whole comprehension. So the more you immerse, the more you comprehend.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what exactly? Yeah. What exactly are you asking me?
So I would think, would you agree that's kind of a good idea of how to look at basics? Not only is it studying, it's, again, the immersion's got to be in there, and then that background immersion has to be as part of it.
I mean, what I was trying to say was, you see, so first of all, I broke it up, my viewpoint with, okay, so myself personally, like I said, I would reach, if I was going to restart at 21, right now I wouldn't restart. You know what I mean? Even if I wouldn't, if I was 30 and I hadn't learned the language now, I probably wouldn't aim so high, first of all. I wouldn't, personally, because I have other things that, I have other pursuits that I want to do now. But I'm going to say that if I was back at that moment and I had the knowledge that I knew now and I wanted to reach a very high level, then I would, I would use the approach that I talked about in my video, where I would just focus on pronunciation at the beginning. That means I would just use kana, and then I would just use, I'd make sure I'd have all of the pitch accent information for every single word that I learned.
And audio?
I wouldn't even, and audio, of course, audio, everything included. And so with, I'd have all of that information all together, and the only representation of a word in a written format would be that phonetic representation. It would have all of the information. Ideally what I would like to do is only use the NH at the very beginning. I would only use the NHK dictionary. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but they have they show you how,
They chart each word.
The tones, yeah, they chart each word. So that's what I would use at the beginning. That's what I personally would use. But that's, like I said, that's only theory because I can't go back and do that. But I'm pretty sure that if you're planning on studying it for a prolonged period of time, mind you, I only ended up studying Japanese for 3 and a bit more years, right around there. So even that probably isn't the best approach for someone who would be studying 3 years. So if I was restarting at 21 now, and I was going to study for a longer period of time than I originally did, then I would take that approach. Because what's a year if your goal is native fluency? It doesn't matter because it's going to take you a long time. It's going to take you a long time. And I think just familiarizing yourself with the territory right from the beginning would be a good goal. But then again, if your goal is not, just to, if your goal isn't just to, reach for something like a native level, then you don't have to necessarily do that. I never reached a native level in any of my languages, but yet I had meaningful discussions, living in different countries. And I had meaningful friends, and I have friends that I still go visit, every time I travel to whatever particular country I go to. And these are friends that were made only within their native languages who can't even speak any of the other languages that I speak. So there are different goals that can be made, and there are different ways to achieve each particular goal optimally. Mind you, I'm gonna put the caveat there that I'm not saying I have the answer. That's why I'm talking about theory.
Right.
I'm talking about this is just practice, but I'm sure it's almost. Don't you think it would be ludicrous to believe that focusing on pronunciation from the beginning would lead you to worse pronunciation than just splitting your time between kanji and pronunciation, splitting your focus and attention between the two?
Reason why I
Well,
got.
I mean, I'm speaking from experience too. You have to understand. Like, I've studied a lot of languages, so I feel that I know.
So what got me really more deeper involved with the Matt versus Japan crowd, and really it wasn't anything magic. I mean, this is going back to HChat, was about the immersion. And the problem was the immersion was the whole idea of comprehensible input. All right. Now with Matt's crowd, he's saying, hey, just watch something if you understand it, while you're watching it with an anime, if you can comprehend the story, even if how do you know really that you comprehended it? He's saying if you comprehend, you watch a lot, you're good to go. Now that's what he did. It worked for him. It wasn't working for me when I tried this 10 years ago before I stopped Japanese, and something happened in February, and I think I've explained this before. In that I had a base knowledge. I had a base knowledge. The only thing I changed was the input, and the part of the input, a third of it was comprehensible. 2/3 of it was this regular Japanese I hadn't studied. So third of it was that audio I studied. 2/3 of the audio I didn't study. Played on loop. About 30 hours of that played on loop, 24/7. Somehow my listening level just was getting better and better, even though I wasn't learning new words. So that convinced me, okay, yeah, the input method, which I already found that out 10 years ago, I refound out. And I believed it and said, okay, but I wanted to shift. How can I get people, the problem was, this is me, the only way I would do that was drama study. And studying dramas or sentence mining dramas early on is impossible. You're fighting every fucking word in every fucking sentence. All right?
Sure.
But at the same time, you don't want to just do this. And that's where I realized the structure part, the problem was that, you're studying these words, but there's none of that audio in the immersion. So all of a sudden Matt came up with something, and we've kind of been trying to improve it since then. But when Matt mentioned Pimsleur, and he said, hey, you're doing RTK, alongside do Pimsleur, which is audio only. Don't try to memorize what Pimsleur's doing, but learn what Pimsleur is saying. And then what I did is that's when I started doing the whole Trimsleur thing. Okay, here's a bunch of Japanese that you understand. And then mix that in with Japanese from shows you've watched, and then you let that be your background immersion. You're not studying it. It's just the audio that's always playing, and a third of it you understand.
I mean, I would find that deathly boring to listen to, but that's just me.
Right, it's not listening to it. Just that's what's always present.
Yeah, I understand.
All right.
I'm just
So
saying. I mean, I'm not saying that it would be a bad idea to have comprehensible input, but I'm going to say, like, one thing, for instance, that I haven't even talked about that I did differently from Matt. The first thing I did is I grinded, right after I finished Tai Kim, I grinded, I grinded out like a, was it the Kanji Odyssey deck?
hmm
Kanji Odyssey 2001
yeah,
deck. So I grinded that out in like
all the
a month and a
sentences.
half. 2 months, yes, like 3,000
You
sentences.
poor bastard. You
So
poor
I did like
bastard.
50. Yeah, I did like 50. No, it worked very well. And then after I just deleted it once
Yeah.
I knew them, right? So you see, that's a funny thing. Like, I just talked to Matt about this. Like, I realized, oh, I actually made a death point for material. Mind you, the death point should be for each individual, note, each individual card. However, I made it for a whole deck because I deleted several pre-made
Right.
decks that I grinded out
And
before
let's talk about Death
at
Point a
a
little
certain
bit.
point.
Let's talk
So
about because
one moment before
yeah,
that, let me continue.
yeah.
So what you're saying is have those have pimps or these things. What I found worked for me, and I've done this in every language I've studied, by the way. I just grind out about 3,000, and then I do it by frequency.
Mm.
I do it by frequency, and I just grind out that vocabulary
Yeah.
with audio,
hmm
and
And
then I
that's
just review it. Excuse me, I review it for about 1 year, and then after that, I find that there are I+1 sentences everywhere, and I was never, I would never avert explicitly sentences that were I+3 or I+2 if I understood them after a lookup and I liked them. So I would never do that. I would never avert. Anything that I was interested in was probably good enough to put into Anki, I felt. And I was not always correct on that, on that decision, but that's how I felt. Go ahead with the death point thing.
well, not yet. So let's
Okay.
take it back to let's just keep this on the stage of basics, all right? Not what's going to happen in the intermediate and advanced stages, but like in the basic stages. So I still think there's benefit of learning kanji first, in that then you can start learning words with kanji. Now you can say pronunciation. You can still be doing the pronunciation, but it's not about can you write this word from memory, but can you recognize it when you see it? All right, because hopefully now if you're doing right basic, I think again if you're watching like immersion, it's what I tell people. It's like you know what? Hey, at a beginning level, don't read books. Read subtitles, and you hear the audio with the sub. So you're seeing a text and you're hearing audio go with the text. That way you're not in the whatever the subvocalization that happens in the brain isn't happening. It's hearing what it needs to hear based on the word it sees. That would be, but that's an immersion thing. For a studying thing, and I think this worked, is that switch up your cards so that it's audio to comprehension.
I mean, I would need to distinguish between first on which goal are we talking about here? Are we talking about someone who just wants to read? They want to write kanji well. They want to write. What
Here's
kind of goal are we talking
Here's what I
about?
like is
Because
that it doesn't matter
Go on.
if you want to further go. Just go further into the structured study. If you don't want it, stop, and you got what you've earned. Basically it's like it doesn't matter if your goal was fluency at a collegiate level or like be able to actually take a medical training in Japanese or to do engineering in Japanese or just to you just want to read anime or I'm sorry you want to read mangas or watch anime. If that's your goal, it doesn't matter. That basic stage, no matter what your distant goal, this basic stage is going to encompass that, and it shouldn't be something that's complicated and requires a lot of effort on the student's part. They should just have to be able to consume they should be able to learn 15 new things an hour. And then that, whatever they've learned makes whatever they're immersing in or easier and easier as time goes on. Because if it's basic they learned it.
Restate this.
Yeah.
Restate one more time. What is this? What is this active study exactly? What would it consist of that you're talking about? Like precisely, what would people be doing?
All right. Starts off with 500 kanji, most common kanji taught in RTK order because RTK order is great because it's +1. All right, and that'll be keyword to kanji, or you could replace keyword with an image. So image kanji, if you can pull that off. All right.
Okay.
So that's 500. So that's about 25 hours of study. You could probably get you through that. All right. The next is going to be, it was going to be Take Him, but we already state the problems of Take Him. So it's going to be those Tango books. So I'd say do that first in 5
Well,
Tango
I'm not
book.
sure that he's completely. I don't know. I mean, I haven't talked
It's
to
in
Matt
his
in
mind.
particular what he thinks about Take Him, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, I don't
it's
know.
sentence mining.
It
Or
does
you.
seem bloated if it's 800 sentences.
Well, you skip over what you. It doesn't matter. You just skip over what you know. It's just.
Yeah.
Now you can say, okay, well, I gotta. It doesn't matter if you're sentence mining a book or a drama or a manga or any. It doesn't really fucking matter when you think about it. It's 15 new things an hour. Where that new thing
Okay.
came from doesn't matter. It's not like it's magical that okay, you learned Ringo because of Ringo Starr, and then you learned it was happened to be an apple. It doesn't matter. Or Inu, you just learned it from a TV
I
show
mean,
versus a
I don't
book.
necessarily disagree with
Yeah.
this because I was never an age adder. You have to understand that.
Mm.
I was never an age adder. I was never against pre-made decks at all.
Right.
Like I find them that to be deadly effective. There's no like if you the quickest way to get into any language, in my opinion, is absolutely. I've talked to Matt about this, and I've kind of brought him around because it's just mathematically true. If you want if you want to find those I+1 sentences, the most effective way is don't sentence mine at the beginning at all, in my opinion.
Right.
Grind out the first 2,000 words, maybe three, even 2,000. That's enough. Then you're free from there. That's enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did more, and I feel like I made mistakes along as well. Though they still led to good results. However, there's room for optimization. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
How do we optimize it? And there are going to be mistakes made along the way. But who else is trying to optimize the language learning process, right?
Especially
But I
for
do
Japanese.
feel-
For Japanese, which is a little
Well, it's not
different.
just
yeah.
for Japanese. That's not how I'm looking.
You don't
at
have to
this.
worry
I'm
about
looking at
kanji in
MIA.
Spanish. So.
Sure. No,
Chinese,
I mean,
yes.
I'm going to make series about European
Yeah.
languages because they're a cakewalk. They're a cakewalk.
If you know English. If you know English.
They're a cakewalk if you know a European language
Right.
with some similarities
Right.
to these.
Same
other
as
languages,
Korean's a cakewalk
right?
for Japanese,
Korean's
and Japanese a cakewalk for
Yeah,
Koreans. All right, because
I did some Korean. It was I found it very easy.
because you already had Japanese in your back pocket.
Yes, of course. And Chinese was a lot easier.
Now,
As a
again,
result,
this is where-
almost all of their jukugo are the same.
This
as
is going
well.
back to my whole idea with, again, I'm actually buying what Krashen was saying about comprehensible input. It's not about always
Yeah, go
watching
ahead.
shit in Japanese, which is, because again, I listened for 2 years. Okay, let me go to my failures of AJAT. I listened for 2 years. I had the audio on loop in my phone and whatnot, but it was this stuff I had watched once, and then I put the Japanese in and I watched it, actually watched it with English subtitles.
Okay.
But I put it in my iPod, put it on loop. I didn't do a goddamn thing for 2 years. It's when I finally put comprehensible audio from stuff I studied. That's when I got the benefit.
Yeah, but listen, Nukemarine, I think you misunderstood. Like the first time, you should so there are times where you should actively watch things.
And I have. Oh,
Where you
that wasn't the only time.
One moment.
Okay.
Where you let me explain like how I did it. So you
Yeah.
actively watch some things, and then there are other times where you watch it, and then perhaps you read subtitles. I didn't even almost use any subtitles when I learned Japanese because at that time they were so difficult to find, mind you. So what I would do, I would listen, and then I would, just as I did it, I would put it into Anki and then I would listen to the same thing over and over until I understood a particular segment.
Right.
And then those would be the segments that would be put onto my MP3 player. That's how I did it.
Right.
Because I would make sure I understood every segment. I find that if you study something one time, if you listen to it one time, put the new materials, the I+1. I often did I+2, I+3. I think they weren't ideal because I probably had a higher failure rate than I should have. That's where the optimization comes into play. But so then I would put just those segments that I had already learned into my MP3 player. If you do that, you'll find that you'll very quickly, because you're studying them in Anki, you should have them in Anki as well, right? Some of them, some chunks of that, and then the other parts of those segments should be understood because you've already studied them over, and then the parts with new words make it into Anki.
Yeah.
And if you do that and you play that over and over again, it'll become very comprehensible very quickly,
Right,
I believe.
but that's
and in my
what I
experience,
did.
It has.
That's when I started doing drama, like studying dramas via SRS. That's kind of a version
Well,
of what
I think you may have. Then what did you do exactly before that didn't work?
I
Explain it
wasn't
again
doing-
one more time.
I was okay. I understand it. Okay, I was doing what it was Take Him at first, and then we were trying to do
Okay.
2001, the 2001 Kanji Odyssey, because we were transcribing that, and I was going to be using that. Those turned out to be really difficult sentences to grind. Basically, it was like during that time between 2007, 2008, and 9 when we were developing all the cool shit that now everyone has that didn't exist back then. You know,
Oh,
that's
just wait. Just wait.
Yeah.
Things are going to be way cooler.
Right,
from here
right.
out, guys.
So again, we were trying to learn this stuff, but I was, again, all the ideas like I did all of RTK, I did all the, did Take Him. I did understand basic Japanese grammar, whatnot. What I wasn't doing, and this was the thing, was putting audio of what I learned in my ear and play, so my brain has shit to understand.
Why
and
didn't you do that? That's the
right.
That, you need repetition on the. You're just making
No,
mistakes.
wait. I'm saying these are mistakes that I made. I get that, and that's why I'm telling people don't make my mistakes.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely don't.
That's why I'm
you
saying.
should put
Here's
audio
the thing.
that you
like
actually
now,
understand on your thing and repeat it, so it becomes ingrained, right? And then when you hear the new word and something new, or you hear an word, you hear the word that you've already heard in something new, it pops out at you very quickly because you've been listening to it and you already understand the sentences in the context that you're listening. I mean, that was laid out, by I don't want to give too much credit by Katsumoto, but he did talk about that. I do believe that this was so many years ago that I was reading about this. I read this elsewhere as well. I don't feel like I did read the majority of the content from AJAP, but that was definitely I was far from a zealot, put it that way. And I did get input from elsewhere, but that's what everyone says. Like, I think even like someone like Luca Lamparelli says that as well. Like, put understandable audio input and listen.
What I'm trying to say is not that.
Go on.
Okay, look. There was what was being studied, then there was what being listened to. Now, if what you're listening to isn't some bit of it comprehensible, it might as well be white noise. Was the idea, and through my personal experience, that was true.
Sure.
Now, how do you turn what you listen to not to be white noise, especially for beginners? Like, do they study for a year and not listen to anything other than, again, incomprehensible Japanese that they might be able to make out one or two words, or can we do something to help speed that listening process up?
Well,
so wait. Okay, okay.
Go on.
The idea I'm thinking of was, okay, it was with Take Him, so that's why when I went and I paid that Japanese person to read out every sentence of Take Him, so that now there's native audio for people to listen to. And then I can take all that audio from Take Him, both the vocabulary and the sentences, put that into a little 10, 15-minute chunk that people can throw in their listening loop. In addition,
that's not bad.
It's basically their exposure to comprehensible Japanese is not just in Anki. Now it's throughout their life, throughout their daily life. But that can't be the only thing. You have to then mix that in with native audio. Hence the 1-to-2 ratio. One part of stuff you've studied that's audio, and then 2 parts from stuff you've watched and enjoyed audio. All right, that's the loop. So at least 1/3 of it is 100% comprehensible. 2/3 of it is comprehensible to whatever degree you can comprehend it. Does that make sense? And now that's at the beginning, and then when you get away from the structured stuff, again the book stuff. That's why I say, hey, let's go into drama mining. The reason why I say mine drama is because you've got the audio, and you need it.
Yeah.
All right, and that's what I'm trying to push. The idea is that okay. We need people to be listening, building up their listening as early as possible, not waiting to the point where they get the benefit from sentence mining. And also, their only exposure to comprehensible audio should not just be an Anki. And also, I always even say, like, and then there's a little bit about trying to remove. No, I'm saying it seems like the hard comprehensible part.
Immersion, like I think we've changed. Like immersion is the middle word, right?
Yeah.
Mass, actually. And then the first word is very important. Mass immersion,
right,
is the key, right?
No,
immersion is an Anki, guys.
If you listen to Crashin, and again he kind of points it out. It's like comprehensible is the missing element. That was a part from AJAT that was missing. Comprehensible. No, you can't say that was implied. No, it's like comprehensible is a big thing.
No, it doesn't. Mass comprehensible immersion approach doesn't sound as good, does it?
Right. But in the explanation, it's like so I'm trying to say, when I say like, okay, well, what audio should you put into that loop? All right, and that's why I'm saying, okay, if you're going to record that audio,
I did.
But here's one recommendation I give to people. It's like, okay, watch the episode once with, this is an audio you really like the show, so watch the episode once with English subtitles, watch it again with Japanese subtitles, watch it once more without subtitles. All right, if you can handle all 3 of those, you can handle putting that audio into your loop because you're gonna be hearing a lot more than 3 times. So that first time you watch it with the English ain't gonna mean shit because you've been hearing it in Japanese like 2, 3, 4, 5 or more times.
I mean, maybe you can do that. Well, what I'm thinking is to have, Matt's already talking a bit about this. Have a huge, well, he wants to have a sentence bank as well that we can have. Ideally, we'll have every sentence out there from every show with subtitles in that sentence bank.
Fucking overkill.
That would be searchable.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
you got
what
that.
we're
It's
gonna
called
do.
Kitsuneko and the that Japanese subtitle. I mean,
we're gonna kill it. We're gonna blow this out of the water.
It's
eventually.
pointless. It is pointless. I mean,
no, it's not. Whenever you want to say, So listen. So we're gonna do that, and I feel like what I personally feel is,
Well, yeah, let's get away from the debating part. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, I don't care, man. You do whatever you like. Anyways, so what I've done generally, I don't mind grinding some vocabulary at the beginning because I know how effective it is. It's so effective. Okay, grind out the beginning audio, then start grind out some beginning material. Okay, in Anki, you'll know a lot of words. Now you don't listen to that audio necessarily. I mean, you can if you really want to. If you really have trouble starting.
So this is what you're recommending people to do, or this is what you did do?
No, this is what I did do.
But not what you recommend other people to do now.
Well, I'm thinking about what I feel would probably be the most optimal way.
Okay.
Right?
No, remember, we're not about how we both.
I'm going to.
I'm going to be careful about. Let me guide real quick. Try to think about explaining whether it's like this is what you did or this is what you recommend people do.
I'm only going to talk about what I did right now today. That's all I'm going to talk about because
but
I just started.
You agree what you did is not optimal.
No, I think it might not be optimal, but I think it might be more optimal than what a lot of people are doing right now. Right. I think it's probably the whole idea of just mining right from the beginning after 400 sentence. Yeah, sure, you can do that. You can look out for that I+1, but it's way more effective to just have a base of artificial vocabulary, in my opinion.
Okay.
That you learn from that's what I think. That's what I've always done, and it's always worked. Because after that, what you're saying, you're having a problem with input. I never had a problem with input after I had that base 3000. There were tons of sentences that I would just understand naturally. Right after that, I would do those 3,000 sentences and I forget what it was. It was very quick, 2-3 months every time. Like when I started Japanese, that was it. When I started Chinese, that was it. I'd do 50 a day or something. I forget what that works out to, but it was very quick. I felt, and I would do that. And the key is a key element that a lot of people haven't been using is time boxing. If you time box, you can get everything done pretty quickly. And then you just immerse the rest of the day. Or the rest of the time you have, right? Mind you, no one's going to probably be able to. I was pretty free during that time, so I was able to take full advantage of that. If you have work and things, that's why this whole mass immersion approach has to be, adaptable to everybody's individual situation, and. Ideally, we're going to start gathering data for people who opt in, and we're going to actually calculate the efficiencies of the system. That's another idea that I've had and I've mentioned to Matt, at least in passing, because that's ideally how you're going to really optimize the method, optimize what people are doing, right? So. I don't know. You see what I'm saying?
Here's what I'm saying.
Hold on one moment. The difference between what you and I are saying really is you're ready to kind of prescribe things, and I apologize for saying this, but you haven't even reached fluency, and you're ready to prescribe things. And here I am, and I've reached fluency in multiple languages, and I'm not even ready to prescribe things. I can talk about what I did, and I can talk about how I'm interested in learning exactly the most optimal way to get to each individual's goals, but I'm not going to prescribe anything. Even though what I did, I can say what I did led me to fluency, and I have these thoughts. But without data, there's no point even talking about what will work, in my opinion. We can only talk about what we think might work and what has worked for us. And like I said, I apologize, but in your case, you don't even know what worked for yourself, and there's no one else who's followed your advice who's even become fluent. So, this is something that Matt, I feel, touched upon in his what was it? His theory versus practice video. And what he talked about was that, it's important to remember that theory and practice are two different things. So even if your theory is sound, before we know for sure, even if you feel your theory is sound, without data, without any data points to fill in there to show, how sound that theory is, I don't know. I'm hesitant in my position to prescribe anything. So, I don't know. I feel that perhaps you should be more hesitant yourself as well.
No, because then nothing will get out there. Then we're just left with what is already
out there.
No,
I just put out a video, right? And I put out different approaches that seem theoretically sound, but I can't guarantee it. I'm not going to say that I can guarantee it because I don't have any data, right? But those are approaches that should work. And one of those approaches is the approach that I followed myself. And it did work. So I at least have 1/3 accuracy in there.
Now,
I feel,
here's the thing: you made a couple of assumptions. Now, first off, this isn't about. Now, I am prescribing, but it's not like I'm doing this blindly. This is based on my personal experience and the input of others. I'm not the only person doing.
Sure.
I'm not. Wait. Okay, I'm not the only person who's doing this method. So I'm trying to get information from other people, what's working for them and what doesn't, and alter it to make sure. Because, like you said, it's got to be in a way to where it casts a wide net. A lot of people can make use of it, but also adaptable based on a person's. Because a person who's got a lot of free time because they're a college student with a lighter workload is different than a working adult who's raising 2 kids. All of a sudden the methods have to be slightly altered to work, but it should be in a way to where it can be in the big aspect can apply. So, like I said, hey, that's why I boiled it down. It's not about grinding. I'm not saying, in 3 months everyone can learn RTK3. That's bullshit, because that means that you've got to be studying at least probably about 2 hours a day, learn about 25 kanji plus whatever the reviews are to cover that in 3 months. So I put shit in hours, and that way I know, hey, if you're a busy person and you can only put an hour a day, that's going to be different than a person who's got more time can do 3 hours a day of study, and also with the immersion as well. All right, so it isn't about in months or in years. It's about, hey, in hours. So, and also put about percentage of coverage. That's why, again, it's like, hey, all right, hey, what you do with that first 500 kanji is super important because that's used a lot of the time. Do you really need to learn that last 500 kanji of RTK3 that's used 1.5% of the time? I mean,
that's why I talked about goals, right?
Right, but even Japanese will say well, yeah. Do you need to know to write that from memory?
If you read,
no, but you need to read that. You need to read it.
Yes, if you read, those come up all the time. Even kanji way past that come up quite often if you're an avid reader.
But we get distracted. It's like, since that is important in the end goal, do you want to put that? But let's say, hey, if you can cast a big net early on, you get a lot more benefit from the immersion. So what I'm trying to do is I'm setting this so you get the best benefit from immersion from as early as possible. That's all. That's because I realized the only thing that's really improved me beyond the way I looked at it now. This is how I'm explaining it now. Words, grammar, kanji. That's your potential of understanding the language. Your immersion.
And what you mean by immersion?
Your immersion is building your level, right?
Comprehension
and reading. All right.
Oh, you're talking about reading. So you see, that does differ from what I'm saying. So
but
ideally,
the reading's less important than the listening.
The language is the person who's trying to go after a native level, the language is actually just a spoken thing.
Right.
Written Japanese is not Japanese. It's not Japanese. That's a written representation of what Japanese is. So if we want to actually study Japanese, I feel like, not actually, but mind you, if your goal is that native-like fluency, then you should focus on the actual Japanese at the beginning. I feel.
And my goal, now let's just say most people's goals are not going to be. All right, go.
Let me finish so you're saying do 500 kanji. I'm not saying that that's going to be the case. I understand where you're going to go because I'm not done. That's what I'm saying. So that's why I said have that. So for the person with a native-like fluency goal, they should have, Japanese, if they're going to read it at all, which I recommend probably because, having some kind of connection will probably help you, but it should just be the phonetic representation, right? With the, tone diagram included. Okay?
I'll disagree with you,
So
but that's your idea.
Hold on one moment. That's
Okay.
fine. I mean, sure. I mean, you can disagree with me. That's fine. So, but then, no, but then again, you can disagree with me, but I talked about what the goal is. That's a different goal. Now, do I agree that most people should have that goal? I made it clear in my video that I don't. I don't think most people should have that goal. And should most people even have the goal to write kanji? I think it's probably good to have a nice basis. And that nice basis for me would be at least go through the first 2,000, like let's learn the Joyo kanji at least, like writing is what I would recommend if you're going to be living in Japan. And you're going to be living in Japan long term.
Basically,
but if you're not even going to be
doing a job in Japanese.
Not even working Japanese, just living in Japan, because I've lived abroad for a long time as well. I know that you have as well. And in my opinion, living abroad without knowing the native, the language, was a lot worse, in my opinion. I felt a lot less happy, personally, without a level of literacy and, fluency in the language. I felt that, acutely in China. Because the second time I moved back to China, I wasn't fluent. I had practically no Chinese, and then I restarted studying. By 2 years in, life was so much better. It was pleasant. It wasn't pleasant at the beginning until I reached that level of fluency. Both writing, I could write most things, processes that we have to do, or most, I don't know, tatsuzuki, what is tatsuzuki, in English, what is,
your methods or your way?
no, tatsuzuki is like the process of doing, like, the written work that you have to do at most places, right? So, I was able to do all of that, and life just got a lot better. So, knowing that, I would say if you're going to live in Japan, at least know the Joyo kanji. That's what I would say. Because obviously life's going to be better with that. Now, hold on. Now, your point of contention is how do you get the best result? How do you get there? Not necessarily efficiency is important as well, but also levels of enjoyment are important, and then it's also important to take into account how much each person can spend on achieving those goals per day. And then again, after taking all that into account, we have to measure how the method, what kind of results those people are getting as well. Go on.
All right. I can get, like, there's this whole idea of, okay, you want this one vague goal of fluency, literacy in a language. And then you careful about the whole gatekeeping thing of, if you're going to live in Japan, that's the only reason you do it. Like, we don't know what people's reasons are.
I didn't say that.
No, I'm saying
I said I'd recommend it if you are going to live in Japan.
Yeah, being literate in the language, being literate, fluent in the language you live, is a great way of getting the best experience. I would not argue with that. But it doesn't matter if.
Just want to make that clear.
Honestly, though, I don't care about the reasons people want to learn Japanese. If it's going to be to watch anime and to, read manga, fine. And the more Japanese you learn, the more enjoyment you're going to get from reading reading manga and watching anime. Like, the more you know it, the better, the more fun it gets. Whether or not you want to do a job in Japanese, but not living in Japan, but work for companies that have to deal with Japan. Hey, fine.
Sure.
The reasons don't matter. That's why I'm not saying about what this vague end goal is. I'm saying, hey, no matter the end goal, this stuff at the basics, at the beginnings, this first, let's say, 200 hours of study, does it really matter? I mean, to me, I think to get the most out of 200 hours, it's good to use stuff that's, that catches the biggest part of Japanese. Not something that 2% Japanese,
I'm
but
not
75%
disagreeing
are
there.
Japanese.
I never disagreed there. Remember, because I said about
But
using
holding off reading,
sentence that
I think the thing that
that-
got me wanted to talk to you was like when you say like hold off reading for a year, and I felt like that's not good advice. It can be done. I mean, obviously people learn Japanese without
But
reading.
who is that for? That's for the language otaku who's going for native like level. I made that clear. I
Yeah.
felt if I didn't, I should add
Okay. But now it's going to be
it.
okay. Now we got to say it's like here are goals, and I'm saying even if you're a language otaku, it's like is that the most efficient? I think. Well, look, what if you gave up? Well, now you kind of like you only got a spoken part of the language as opposed if you got a good
If you're a
grasp.
language otaku,
Yeah.
you don't give up that quickly.
Well, we don't. Well, again, now the gatekeeping. Now there's that gatekeeping.
I'm telling
part.
you from experience, you don't.
We-
you don't.
we don't know.
Not that quickly. If you're a real one, you don't.
But and really,
Speaking from my language, experience, and I have quite a few language otaku friends, and I'll tell you, we don't give up that quick.
So-
But go on.
So anyway, let's just go back. Let's make sure. I'm not the only person doing this method. There are other people, and I'm wanting to get their input. And not only do I want it to I don't want them to have this vague. Oh, I understand 90% of the language when I watch anime. I don't want that. I want to be, hey, I took this evaluation test and I scored this. So I can look at okay, he did this, and other people who did similar methods did this, and I can compare it. That's data. That's what I want. Now it can't be like, oh, okay, Nukemarine, you're not fluent in Japanese, so you can't be putting out ideas for other people to test. I think that's bullshit. It's like, okay, hey, look, I am not fluent in Japanese. I'm probably at best an intermediate level, low intermediate level at that. However, I am experienced in other areas of life. I was an instructor in the Navy. Again, I've done studies. I've worked, leadership in the Marine Corps. I know how to handle, putting jobs in a structured way, basically explaining complicated things in simple fashion. Whereas I don't have to know the entirety of an entire tech manual in order to teach people how to use that tech manual to fix stuff. You can give me a brand new piece of gear in the tech manual, I don't know anything about it, but if the tech manual is organized in the same manner as other tech manuals I'm familiar with, I could probably help fix gear. It'll take me a lot longer. The more I learn about the gear before I even put my hands on the equipment, the better I will be at fixing the equipment, even though I've never did the real world thing. So these are now, again, I'm not saying. So I've been applying, let's say, a technician's viewpoint to how language learning can work. And when I use it in that fashion, it clicks with me. It clicks with me. And when I explain it to other people, I make sure I explain a way to hopefully it clicks with them. So that's kind of why I do have a popularity on the internet, even though it's obvious I am not good in Japanese. But people like the material I put out because it's easy to consume and they do get benefits from it.
Nukemarine, I'm not saying you should stop what you're doing. All I'm saying is that for me, and I have, like I said, I have a lot of CDI, lots of acquaintances and friends that are good at languages. And, for me personally, if I was a student, I would look to people who've had success in it. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with giving advice. And what you've done, it's actually, I feel like if people do want to use your method, what you're doing is, good because you're helping them be able to easily use that method. Like you're sharing the, the Tai, or no, actually that's just completely helping any method, right? You're sharing Taikim, anyone who wants to use Taikim, you're helping them. I'm not saying anything that you're not helping people. What I was just personally saying that at the end of the day, prescribing things in general is probably, I'm so hesitant to do it because I feel a hefty weight. I would feel a hefty weight on myself to do that. That's why I speak from experience when I talk, because I can say what worked and I can talk about my friends' experiences. And I feel like if you want to take that approach of teaching before you're fluent yourself, you should speak about other fluent people's experiences. And really
I'm sorry.
what
Wait.
they've done.
I apologize.
Yeah.
I am not teaching Japanese. I teach people
No,
how to learn
I'm
Japanese.
teaching the method. Exactly,
Right.
that's what I'm saying.
So,
but you should,
now, if you agree,
really,
Taikim is a good source, I'm just saying I'm presenting Taikim in that way. I'm presenting
that's
that
why I
source
said
in a
that
way.
really helps.
If you agree,
Yeah, no,
RTK
I'd
is a
agree with
source. Like what you said about RTK, for example. The Dex I provide has the Japanese information on it. It already has that
It
information.
shouldn't be there at the beginning.
No, but it's there.
probably
If
should.
it can be, you can either hide it. It's easy to hide it in Anki. I teach people how to hide stuff in Anki, or you can switch it up, and now it's there present. It's not there to, and I tell them you're not learning this. It's there for later, because when you learn Japanese, all of a sudden the keyword is, you're like, what the fuck does that? What's and then all of a sudden, oh, nail. Okay, because you're either using it as a primitive or you're using it as in Japanese by that time. Like yasui, you just think of yasui as cheap, and what is it in the keyword? It's
I have no idea.
plan or something.
I don't know any
Right,
keywords.
yeah, right. But so again, and what you said was true. I wanted to say, but I don't think it's any. What the problem is, I don't think it's a problem. Is that you and Matt, or maybe Matt says, okay, you need to make every card, and you said you don't have a problem with
No,
pre-made
he
decks.
changed that recently, right?
No,
He changed that recently because it's
but
all
it's
this.
fine.
He was more indoctrinated.
I get it. I get it.
Sort of
But we have to go with the
thought.
idea. I get that he might. And this is. Let's go back a bit. All right. I make sure the material I print out there is functional and they can be altered, based on what people need. Like, okay, so look, I went and took like Core 2K and I made sure, hey, there was pitch accent and I improved the definition so that there wasn't confusion because there were like arbitrary definitions that could be mixed up words and it made it difficult. All right, and then we basically made it to where, all right, if I hear this word, do I know how to write it in Japanese? Do I know what it means and can I write it in Japanese? Not just a word, it's this word in the sentence. And I felt that was the best. Like, don't just test single words, test the word in the format of a sentence, but hear the word so you know in the sentence what are you actually looking for, and you're only testing on that word. And then for the sentences, that's a little different. For the sentences, you're actually shown the sentence. Can you read the sentence and know what it means? Yes or no? And then on the answer side, you're going to hear the audio. That's my idea. And then, okay, you agree or disagree. People can change it up because it's Anki. Right? And again, it's just, okay, if you don't like it that way, switch the card, what the cards look like. I'll teach you how to switch up the cards. So basically, you don't have to don't have to go and set aside 10 hours of effort to now make Anki in a way that now you want it to be at. All you got to do is like take about 5 minutes, switch up the card. Now you've got the Japanese words that are on front for RTK. You don't have to go and add the words. They were already there. You just now made them visible. Like with the.
Well, I mean, it depends on the individual words. For a lot of the rare kanjis, the words you're going to completely probably will be different than the words you're going to see.
We get
going to have already added there.
Well, I'm saying it becomes a part of here's what I'm giving you. Don't sweat the pre-made stuff. The only advice I would say is, at least with RTK, was the stories. But that's about let's hold off on RTK on how to learn RTK. I'm just meaning, like, if I give you a completed deck, I say don't learn everything on the deck. It's just more functional if you know how to use Anki and how to change up how your cards look. That's it. In fact, I made it to where if you want, I even added, hey, if you want to do lazy kanji, let's say, hey, it's 2 months, and all of a sudden you realize you can't even think of the story. You kind of know what the kanji is when you know what the kanji is when you see it, but if the keyword's that, hey, you know what? You can switch up Anki where all you got to do is like put an X in this field, and all of a sudden it switches that one card to lazy kanji.
You see what I really want to like get to the bottom of here is what we need is data. We need to stop talking about if this is what. Let's see what I'd like to do eventually. Let's get we're gonna get the yoga player out. We're going to get the Anki Red Pill out, and then we're going to with Anki Red Pill. If you're going to be using the Anki Red Pill plug in, there's going to be an option to use a website associated with that. It's going to be a replacement for Anki Web, and that website will have all of the features of the Anki, Anki Red Pill. We could probably change that name, by the way. I'm not a huge red pill, blue pill kind of guy, but anyways, but for now, the Anki Red Pill add-on will have all those features on that site. And now, I plan on having the option for people to opt in.
Well, I just meant a lot of people listening may not even know what the whole Anki Red Pill thing is.
Since the Anki Red Pill was just, we put a death point on cards, they'll automatically be deleted after a certain time, but we'll always keep count, and we'll always keep track of the information for those cards that you've had.
Now, for those who've been watching my Japanese drama immersion course, I'm explaining to the people watching now.
Yeah,
for those of you watching, if you notice when I in the drama thing, if it's a sentence and I understand it when I first hear it, and I look at the space, it's 3 months, I just suspend that card. And if you already saw what it did, if it's a card that's been spaced out over a year, if I notice I passed it and it's going to be putting over a year, I just suspend it. Because if I don't run it, I'm basically I'm putting faith in the immersion. Like if the only time you're going to see that word is in Anki, do you really need that word? And I think that's something that Matt was bringing up.
How long have you been re-immersing again?
I started back again in February. So I started doing drama immersion again in April or May.
So April.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a long time. I mean,
No.
that's fine.
No,
I mean,
no. But
I'm
what I
just
did
curious.
is 10 years ago I did about 7 or 8 hours worth of dramas and movies and I got about 2,000 or so vocabulary. It's kind of hard to kind of ish. A lot of this is ish. And so those was the audio I started using for my audio immersion. And then I was
When did you start sharing like information with people? And then when
since
did
the
you
beginning,
start studying?
since the fucking beginning. I gathered if I got stuff from people, I saved it, and we, like again, I was helping.
I don't know.
If you did you
I'm-
type in
Go ahead.
like 2001 at Kanji Odyssey, me and the group of guys, we typed in all those sentences to share with people who own the book, so they wouldn't have
Oh
to.
no, I used the audio. I used
Okay.
the version with
Oh.
they weren't typed in.
Oh, okay.
I used it back in 2009.
Yeah, this was back in
Or 2000
2008.
whatever,
Yeah,
yeah.
because that book was out in
Well, I think
2008.
there
Yeah.
was no typed text. It was the
Yeah, and
it
then,
was the
then
what's it called? The picture.
right, but then Core 2K, 6K came out, and that was a better resource than in 2001, so that was cool. And then someone got a deck, found a way to where we can sort the deck by kanji, and I used the 2001 at Kanji Odyssey the kanji list there to sort vocabulary, because it turned out it was more fun to learn kanji that was sorted by kanji, or learn words that were sorted by kanji, because they were now related to each other. All right, so that made that's when you hear Core 2K optimized, that's where that came from. Again, that was it.
I mean, that only takes like a few lines of JavaScript, but yeah.
Yeah, but you got to have that. You have to have that index list, which a good RTK is a shitty order to learn vocabulary. Great order to learn kanji. When 2001 was a great order to learn vocabulary words in bulk. Shitty order to learn kanji. So it worked out fine. But anyway, that was 10 years ago. But again, hey, Calculus 6 showed this book, mentioned to Matt, mentioned his success. So that was your data point. We have a success with these 2 books up to the M4 level. And,
Well, that's one person. No, I mean, I want mass.
We get that.
Excuse me, I want a lot of
we
data.
get that, but we're not going to get that if we don't give them something to test on. Okay.
Yeah, well, we're going
So
to.
hence
It's
the
coming.
now, and no one's going to test on it if we don't make it presentable in a way they can, makes it easier for the average person. We don't want to make it say, okay, you get to do this book, but you got to type in 2,000 sentences. Okay, how about this?
I was never
Okay,
You
I
have
get
to
it.
understand. I'm not mad.
We want to save time. So the only thing people worry about is learning that 15 new things an hour. All right, not having to take an hour to type in or make a picture card or it's just
15 new things an hour. Let's bump that up to 30.
Well, I'm saying
No, guys.
how fast can you learn 30 kanji in an hour? Can you learn 30
Well,
kanji?
nowadays, probably 10 minutes. No, I'm just- probably. I'm not even joking, but that's now.
If you aim for 15,
I'm
if you
just-
go
I'm
above
just
it, if
joking,
you go above,
yeah.
look, I was always saying 20. One new thing every 3 minutes. If it's something new, take time out and make sure you even learn it. Don't just put it in Anki and say, okay, let me see it in a minute. No, learn it first. Anki is for the memorization, is testing your memorization of it, not your, all right? You still have to take time out in learning it. And whether it's
Okay.
a kanji, a vocabulary, a sentence, or maybe even a concept in Japanese society, that's something new. As long as if you take 15 or 20 new things an hour, after about 100 hours, that's, again, 1,500, 2,000 new things. And after 500 hours, that's almost 10,000 new things.
So one thing. So what you're saying is, your basic idea is to just get a basis at the beginning.
Mhm.
I don't disagree. I
And
never disagreed. Like I don't know why
and try to
we're
push
covering
audio and try to push
same
audio as fast
stuff
as
in
possible.
circles.
And try to push
That's
comprehensible
what I'm
audio.
saying as well, right? Well, I mean, audio should be a focus. I'm already saying that. Matt even is saying that.
Mm.
It's obvious that it should be a focus
Yeah.
at the beginning.
And that was a missing thing
It
with.
should be.
Now, for you guys, if you are doing
Well, I
sentence
mean, you're
mining,
saying it's the missing thing, but you don't know if it's the missing thing because the only people, like the most fluent people that we see out there with Japanese, all learned, Oh, I just saw the chat for a second. This guy said, yes, but what was I saying?
the
Can you
people
remind
who-
me what was I saying?
the people who
I
are
just
fluent
read
in
the chat.
Japanese,
That's
the
funny.
people who are fluent in Japanese all learn.
Yeah, if you look at not all, but if you look at a large subset of the people who are sharing their stories, they tended to follow a certain, well, a lot of the age adders are pretty. I'd say they're pretty good. They're above the average learner, so we should, we should really take what they're saying into consideration, in my opinion, or just people who've learned through immersion in general.
And honestly, I don't disagree with
That's
what they
all I'm
did.
saying.
If sentence mining is learning, so I+1 is that new thing. How many sentences do you learn an hour? About 15 to 20 an hour. That's roughly it. I mean, there's nothing now. Whether it's
I don't
structured
disagree
or
with getting a base, but I think as soon as you can, honestly, get that base quickly. You don't want to push that too far because it's way more fun. See, the whole idea with the yoga player is we're going to be able to push in subtitles. But listen, push in subtitles, and whatever you're watching, only when there's a new I+1 if you want or whatever you might. It depends on the individual. But I didn't always stick to that, but I mostly stuck to something like that. Because I very quickly it became just I+1. But you're going to click one button and it's going to be an Anki right there, screenshot audio, whatever you're watching. That's I think just streamline the whole process. I think learning through immersion is way more fun. It really is. I felt that, and then easy export to Anki for later study is great.
All right, so let's again. What you're saying is studying. All right, so here's the immersion. In other words, you're just watching a show and just watching it. Now, if you feel like, okay, take time out with what you're watching and
no, I'm talking about active immersion.
That is watching sitting me in front of a TV, watching it is active immersion.
Yeah, and you're okay. That's what I'm saying. You're actively immersing, and then if you notice, oh, there was a new word there, you can pause it for half a second, press one button, and then you continue actively immersing. It's just a painless way to add new stuff,
which is fine.
Where you can focus. Yeah, you can focus on what you already know.
Which is fine. That doesn't. It's not magical. That's again one new point, and you haven't learned it yet. You're going to learn it later because you're going to take time out and study it later. That's the studying part.
I mean, but you actually kind of learn it that first time.
No, you don't.
If you look at the definition,
if you don't know what that word
press
means,
the button. I don't know. I feel
okay. Are you saying like pause it? You're looking up. Oh wait. Now you're saying you're pausing the show, looking up what the word means, copying that over, and then starting the show again.
Not copying that over. One button.
Right.
It's already working.
But you said you learned it just by watching it. Wait. If you learned it,
you watch, you pause. No, but I'm saying later when I+1 sentence, when you hear an I+1 sentence, say, "Oh, I understood almost all of that, but I didn't understand this." Pause it, and then there you go.
Yeah, that's no problem there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, make it easier to spend your time efficiently. Is what I'm trying to do.
Even if people didn't do that, let's say people didn't do it. They're just watching this show for 2 hours. That's still great.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad, but it's fun to know that, hey, one button, just in case I want to study this later, export. Okay. I don't think we really disagree. So what you're saying is, let's have some kind of let's have some kind of beginning.
A bit more structure at the beginning.
Let's have some structure at the beginning. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as far, you're already prescribing. I'm not going to prescribe that yet. I'm going to think about it. And I'm thinking probably about getting an I+1 deck or something like that made that'll get you to a certain level or something like that. That would be probably pretty interesting.
Now, here's my prescription.
Go on.
All right. So I have to now before here was the guideline first. All right. This is how it was. It was like, okay, 555 kanji, RTK order, take him, half of take him, 500 words from core 2K, next second half of take him. 500 words of, actually it was a little before then. I mean, take him was actually spread out through the whole thing. But then 500 words. So basically learning take him and core 2K. And then about 1,000 kanji from RTK. In that time, you're supposed to be watching Japanese. That was the plan. All right. All I did is like, hey, instead of RTK, instead of take him and core 2K, just replace it that part with the tango stuff. If you wanted to, you could do sentence mining at the beginning. I mean, it all is ultimately the same. It's just a matter of, hey, here's something new. Okay, learn it. And it's roughly about 1,000. You're going to be, after about 1,000 sentences, you're going to be around an N5. You could probably pass an N5 test. About 2,000 sentences or whatever. You're probably going to be able to easily pass an N4 test. As long as you're doing the immersion.
Why are we talking about these tests?
Well, I'm just saying, like, just as
Isn't the goal just to understand? I don't know what they even mean, though. I don't know what you're referring to.
Don't sweat that part.
How much are you going to understand?
Don't sweat that part then. I tell you what, then don't sweat that part then. All right, but here's what's going to happen.
How much are you going to understand, though? I kind of want to know what
here's what's going to happen. If you want data, you're going to have people take at least a same test to evaluate what their level is at a certain point in their studies. Now, are you going to wait till you're going to play the silver spoon game where, hey, wait till about 18 months. If you're not fluent then, you get all your money back? No. You want to say, hey, am I doing the right thing? So look at about someone at a 3-month, 6-month, 9-month mark. Like, what is your, and it can't just.
We're going to look at it every day. It's going to just compile. Every day it's going, I mean, ideally, that's what we're looking at, as just storing all the information based on, and then we're going to have data about the participants, like not their personal information, obviously, but just data about what they're, what they're studying and things like that. And
so you just have an idea, as like, now, how does that
I mean, I haven't thought it out fully, right? I'm just talking about, like, ideally, if you want to optimize a method, you need data, right?
And do you
not agree?
But you say, how
ideally?
effective is the method? Not that, okay, yeah, these guys know 2,000 words. Well, okay. Can they,
how effective,
if they heard this, if they heard a
I'm just talking about optimizing, optimizing the memorization part.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? We can see that. And then we can see how that relates to what they're doing through their immersion side. We can be we can have people type in what they're doing on average. Right? On average. They can change it up and down with a few clicks, something like that. Ideally, that would be the system to get to, you would need a system like that to eventually get to a completely optimized system, which is, no one's even tried to do that as far as I understand. That's ideally what we would want to do, right? I think that's what I'm thinking about.
Personally, again, I like the whole mining dramas thing. So hey, this whole episode I want to understand, because that's going to be the 100% audio I understand, and the next 2 episodes are my normal Japanese. I didn't study. Those are the episodes I don't study, but I want to just, hey, how much of it do I understand, even if I haven't studied them? Yeah, that's all. I mean, and it's been working. No, it worked 10 years ago when I was doing it, and even though I did stop learning Japanese for various reasons, when I want to get back into it, the part that worked best was the immersion, and the best way to get immersion is by having audio to listen to, and the best way to have audio to listen to for me is studying dramas. But for a beginner, I don't want them to go where I did take him, but with no audio. I don't want people to do that. It's like, hey, there's audio you can use. Use audio, and don't go English. Don't do the mistake I made, which was English to Japanese. Don't do that. Or just read the Japanese. Do you kind of understand it?
Where did you get that idea from?
No. That was bad. That was bad. That was bad. And then I did Katsumoto's way, which was all hiragana.
But
again, this is mistakes 10 years ago, and you're asking, why'd you do it? Yes, it was a fucking mistake.
No, one moment. You see, mistakes are completely clear in retrospect, right? That's why I'm saying, as a beginner, probably not the best thing to be advising people.
I'm not a beginner. I am not a beginner.
Or intermediate or whatever,
right.
Whatever you might be.
And you've even seen Matt said there's a problem with when you're at an advanced level. You kind of forgot what it was at a beginner level, especially for maybe for Japanese.
Well, I study many languages,
right.
So I feel like I haven't forgotten, personally.
And a big part of now, here's the thing. What you do is it's just a different form of study. It's not going to, now it might be a more fun way, which is great. If it gets people doing it, fine. As long as they're learning 15 new things an hour, fucking mission accomplished. And they choose it. Now, I just think, I still feel like, hey, with Japanese, there's 150 kanji used 50% of the time. And there's probably like 500 vocabulary words used 50% of the time. Those are, maybe if we can present them to them in a structured way to where it's like, okay, they don't even have to ask, like they just understand it. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I think, you see, you're missing like saying 500 or whatever, 150 kanji are used 50% of the time. But yeah, they're used in a huge swath of different words.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
And so of those words, those 500 use those 150 kanji.
Yeah, no, I understand. But even those 500 kanji, like, how comprehensible does it get at that point? I mean,
you're not.
I understand what you're saying.
You're low level. You're super fucking low level.
Exactly
right, and then you just
you may as well
build it. But
get
look,
to the
those are going to be used all the time. So now when you're immersing, you're hearing this stuff you learned, or seeing these kanjis pop up. 50% of the time, it's these 150 kanji, and so it's not.
I mean, sure, we've kind of covered this ground, so I'm over covering this ground. I'll say, As far as what you're, hold on one moment. So as far as my final ideas on this, then maybe we can go to chat and have some questions or something.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I haven't like read almost anything they're saying.
I tried to
Except
follow
I saw
it.
one funny thing. Yeah, it's difficult. For
Yeah,
me
okay.
to
If you got
read
questions
that.
in the chat, feel free to type it
Yeah.
up. Just highlight our names or something, so it's like
So
your question.
my final thoughts, because I think pretty much I see what you're doing. So you're just trying to kind of prescribe. I mean to say what people should do, and what they should, what sort of form of study they should follow. And you're saying, study the most common kanji first, study this first. Well,
No,
I mean personally,
no, I'm not saying that.
well, the 500
What-
kanji, right?
No. I'm using that as
And then-
justification why if they did your method, it works fine. If they did my method, it should work fine. If they did AJAT, it works fine. If they did Genki, it works fine. It doesn't matter how they study it. If they're studying and what they've learned is 15 new things. What I want is they get the most out of the immersion. That's what I want to make sure is that they're getting the most out of the immersion time.
Oh, okay. I mean, like, I'm not against testing different.
Yeah.
We should get people using your method and people using different methods. We should get them all once. I mean, mind you, I'm only one person. I'm a one-man team coach, so it's taking quite a, it's a lot. There's a lot of new stuff in there, especially with audio video stuff that I've been working on with the yoga player. But I mean, most of it's already down the hatch now. But so I mean, it's been it's a lot of work with that. But once we get to that point, I would welcome having people who are studying, volunteers. We're not going to take any private information, just your, and we're not even going to know who the person is. Like, it'll all be encrypted server side, so I won't even be able to tell if I wanted to. But I'll just do it so that we can see that what kind of results everyone's having, and then we'll also like have them make just probably
And
have
what
some
I'm hoping other people,
data.
yeah, and what I'm hoping other people
well.
do is, while it's still free, take that jcat.org test and just let it. This is an evaluation.
Why it's not going to be free in the future?
I think around 2020 they're going to just remove it from the website. So it's so at least
Really?
it's a financial.
I've heard about that. I should take it.
Yeah, and I was asking Matt to take it too. Just it's just that
I
everyone
should
can take
it. I wonder.
and
I'm
it's
probably
free.
stuck now, but
Well, no, I'm saying, but it's free, and it's just a data point. I'm not saying like you don't study for it.
I'll
It's
take
like,
it. I'll take it on stream one of these days.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
care.
recommend that. Because that'll compromise the test.
Why?
You don't wanna-
Oh,
right.
how do I do it then?
Well,
I'll just blur it. I'll take it, but I'll blur the screen, and then I'll show the final.
Well,
result.
actually, just record yourself taking it, and just do the last three
Then
questions.
blur it after.
Show the last three questions, because that'll give an idea of what your actual level is. Those last three questions, and then they give you the results immediately when you're done.
Oh.
So if you
How
want
long
to
does it take?
at your level, if you say evaluate, if you self-evaluate,
Huh?
I'm an hour to 2 hours ish.
Oh, that's painful. I don't know. That's gonna be hard to find that
Yeah.
even a month of my time. 2 hours to just take a test. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun, to be honest.
But here's
Are
the
there
thing.
pause buttons?
Instead of you saying, hey, I am fluent in Japanese, which, again, I've never heard you speak Japanese. I just take Matt's word
Yeah,
on it.
you haven't?
I don't think so.
You weren't in there? I mean, lots
Was
of
I?
people have, I thought.
I don't know.
You were in the... I thought we spoke, or I don't know. I mean, I can speak to you in Japanese right now. Do you want me to? I haven't immersed for this week, so I won't sound as good as usual, but sure.
I suck,
Go ahead.
but yeah. All right.
Go ahead. どうぞ。
何
いつでもいいよ。
えっと
何について話したいんですか何でもいいよ。別に何でもいいよ。
私に聞いてください。そう何か私に聞いてください。
じゃあ、なんか、そっちのなんか、勉強の仕方について、ちょっとなんか、ご相談したいと思うんですけど、まあ、ちょっとなんか、紹介してくれませんか
日本語で紹介してくれません。
そう
恥ずかしかった。
日本
うん。
いや、別にいいでしょう。日本語でお願いします。できれば。
チャールズと
やってください。
チャールズと言います。日本語の勉強をするのは多分、説明できないんだけど、多分10年前は初めては、イマーションというは、初めは2200漢字は、まずは英語で習って、その後その漢字で、日本の文法と 言葉を習って、その間に毎日日本語のドラマを見て、朝から夜までそのドラマの録音 iPod で多分いつも聞いていた。そう、ちょっとまずうまくになる。そうでも今は
上手になる。うまくなる、上手になる。まあ大体何言ってるか分かってるんだ。まあ分かったけど、いいや。まあとにかく、まあそういうことですね。まあ、だからまあ自分の見方から見るとですね、まあちょっとなんか、まあ初心者というか、なんか中級のレベルの人はまあ多分ね、人に何をすればいいかとね、教えるのはちょっとまあ良くないかなと思いますけど、まあ、まあ僕は思うにはなんかやってることはそんなに悪くないから、まあ、別にやり続けてもいいと思うんだけど、まあできればなんかまあもうちょっと上手な人ねが何をして勉強したのかとかなんかに相談してからね、ちょっとなんかちゃんとまあ研究してからっていうかなんかちょっと調べてから、なんかちょっと調べてからちゃんとね、
何が調べてる？
日本語を勉強した人たちだけじゃなくてね、なんか、
ま
あ、どうやってなんか、そう、いろんなね、外国を学んだことある人たちがね、一体どうやってその外国を身についたかを調べてから、ちょっと、まあ、自分のなんか勉強の方法をなんか作った方がいいんじゃないかなと思うんだけど、まあ、そしてそれからね、みんなになんか進めた方がいいと思う。そういうふうにやった方がいいと思う。まあ、それはただ僕の試験なんですけど。
でも、そう、日本語に喋るのはちょっと僕にはちょっと良くないと思う。僕のレベルに良くない。そう多分何でもいい、
まあ別に
そう僕の意見は
ね、
ついていけない。使うのは難しい。ね。そう正しいの言葉。
レベルは大体分かったから、まあ、別になんか日本語で喋らなくてもいいんだけど、まあただまあね、まあ大体なんか今はまだインプットに集中した方がいいからね、なんかアウトプットするより、でも、まあとにかく、まあ分かったけど、僕が思うにはね、どうしても同意できないところがある。それはね、まあ、まだ上手になってない人は、なんかその立場ね、で、立ちたいのがなんか間違ってると思うんだよ。実はね、はっきり言ったら。それが間違ってると思うよ。ね、なんかちゃんとね、頑張ってね、本当になんか努力してる人たちがいるから、その人たちが努力、ちょっと待ってください。ね、その人たちが努力してるから、その努力した人たちが、なんか、まあ、ね、なんと言えばいいかな。まあ、なんかちょっと優しい言い方で言いたいんだけど、まあその人たちの方がね、まあまだ上手になってない人は、まあ多分ちょっと緩んだ、まあちょっとなんかね、後ろを下がった方がいいと思うんだけど、それはただ僕の試験なんですけどね。僕はそう思うね、はっきり言ったら。
例えば、そのセルフで僕は何%わかる？僕は50% や 70% や 90%。でも、とても、本当は、今忘れた。何が言ったわ、すぐに忘れた。理由は、もちろん僕の聞いてついていけるでしょ。でも今は多分答えが心配する。そうだから
まだ答えられないんだね、
相手になんだっけ夢中じゃない。
夢中になる？
夢中に
何を
夢中になれない。自分で考えて自分の答えて相談ができない。 So, Tevin, since your level is,
that'd be
let's say
nice.
your level's Japanese, my level's English. If you talked in Japanese, I talked in and replied in English. That's probably a better way to you to tell. Okay, is my comprehension of what you're saying
My
there?
Japanese is nowhere near as good as it can be, though, for
Right.
sure.
No,
Like
but
I've talked a little bit. I haven't studied Japanese for 6 years.
you've been listening or immersed. So it's not about studying. It's just a matter of how much exposure, how many
No, I
hours.
haven't been listening. I didn't immerse for 6 years.
Okay.
This is after 6 years
Okay.
of
Yeah.
no immersing. I've read maybe 3 books. Well, I've read 2 books recently, but I haven't. I read maybe 3 books in 6 years, and I probably watched, I don't know, less than 100 hours. I did Chinese, Japanese, and code, or not Japanese, Portuguese and code, and then a lot of other languages, all up there in between.
And for me, I was just doing my military career, so
So
I concentrated more on
that's
Navy as
part of
opposed to studying.
cool.
The
Yeah, for
now
sure.
I'll be honest though. I feel like I was understanding what you were saying.
Adrian, I have
But
no
I hate the
reviews
idea of
today
giving
on
a percentage. I hate it when. I'll be honest. I don't like when people say, "Oh, I understand like 50% or 70." You don't know what you understand. It's like you think you know what you understand, but until someone's come back and said, "No, you're wrong. That's exactly the opposite of what I was saying." You can't get that feedback. Now with Anki, that's great. You get immediate feedback. If you see this sentence, say, "Yeah, I think it means this," you look there, "Oh fuck, I was wrong." Okay, mark that wrong. Why was I wrong? Okay, good. Or I hear this word and the sentence using that word, and I'm thinking, "Oh yeah, that means washing machine," or I'm picturing washing machine, so sentaki instead. But let's say it was araibaki or something, araimono or something. Then you look at it, it's like, oh no, they're talking about I don't know, whatever. Some other, they're talking about the table. So I immediately got the feedback that my comprehension was being corrected. So that's the beauty of Anki. And you don't have to have a guy like you
Yep.
correcting me. Anki's doing
Sure.
that for me. And so that's,
I'm not correcting. I didn't correct you. I mean, maybe once, but not really.
yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
saying
I suck too, man.
shitloads of mistakes. I mean, just, it's fucking sad,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, there are a lot.
But
Yeah, you
was
should.
there a mistake in
I
my,
was just
but that's
curious.
my
I have
output.
no idea what your level.
But that's my
I was
mistake
just curious to see it.
but that was my mistake in my output. Now, does that mean I can't comprehend? Is my level of comprehension
No,
that?
I don't care.
I'm saying I
was just
care.
curious what you kind of know. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. No, of course you can.
And
Well, I mean, I'm not saying it's even important what you can output. I don't really mind.
and I started to
It's
believe
fine.
that now. Like I'm saying, sometimes I felt like, oh, I got to practice. And I realized it's like, okay, yeah, let's go back. The whole input method, it worked 10 years ago, and since February, it's worked again. And it's like, okay. And I wanted to say now, for beginners, until they get to where they can start mining dramas, which I think is the best way of learning Japanese, not mining.
Mining anything.
Right, but
anything.
something with audio, so you can at least have audio with it.
Yeah, that's what the yoga player comes in. We're gonna
Right.
have anything available. One button.
Which is fine, but
For
prior
not
to
just,
that-
we're gonna release the Chinese too.
prior to
By
that,
where, I mean,
there are resources now that have, here's a vocabulary list from that Tango. The reason why that Tango books were, I was trying to think, these are pretty good, is that there's audio for vocabulary, there's audio for the sentences. So, and they're native. It's not text to speech. That's
Cool.
all. And I'm thinking, present it to beginners in a structured way, and just make sure they remember, this is not the only fucking thing you do. All right, if you're not watching Japanese,
Yep.
you're fucking up. If you're not listening to Japanese audio from morning to night, you're fucking up. Or at least you're limiting
Oh no,
you're
just listen
limiting
to
what
as much
benefit
as you
can get.
can.
It's not listening, as I said, it's always there. And if you listen to it, great. If you don't, okay, because you're distracted with something. But then when you're not distracted, the audio is always, it's just ever present.
Let's take questions because I have to go soon. Like
Okay.
we're
All
going
right.
over. Yeah,
Questions,
I have
just-
to go.
if
I
you
have
got
to go to
questions in the
sleep,
chat,
or I'm going
please.
to
Well, I told him in that.
I'm really exhausted,
I
guys.
told him to put our names or something, but they're.
Let's go. Oh, he said yoga pants. What about pitch accent deck you guys talked about? That's Matt. Matt talked about that. He's probably gonna get that out to you guys at some point. I don't even know. I haven't studied pitch accent before, guys. So I'm going to. I'm gonna make a series where I study pitch accent, and then I show my improvement. But first, I have a few things that I want to code first. After that, I'll start on that, and then I'll show you me, at the beginning, and then I'll just speak, or maybe I'll read this. I'll read one passage that's the same thing, and then maybe I'll just have a little monologue that's a free monologue after that, and then we'll see how it improves. Maybe on a week by week basis or something like that. It'll be interesting. Although most people won't be able to judge. I'll be able to judge. It'll be interesting.
All right, you got a question by Robert Kalove.
Oh, where's that at?
If
How do I make this like
Oh, here you go.
longer? Like,
Oh, I don't know. Robert Kalov.
do you see what I'm saying? Because it's
Question
so
for yoga.
tiny.
Here we go. Question for Yoga Pants. If you have only 1.5 hours to study, how would you divvy that up between immersion and mining reviews?
What level are you? That's important.
Okay.
Like when
Let's
you're
say
starting, what
beginner
level
and intermediate. Let's say 2,000 sentences versus someone who's got 6,000 sentences.
Okay, well, I mean, that's hard to tell if the 2,000 cent is how much immersion. All right, well, I mean, we'll say that. Okay, 2,000 cent is how many kanji do they have?
We'll say about 600 kanji.
600 kanji. So they have 1.5 hours per day.
Oh no, you mean like have they done RTK or like how many?
Yeah, have they done RT? Like, what in general?
Well, I
What
just
do
meant
they have?
in those
Yeah.
sentences are probably maybe about 600
600 kanji
in
plus
those
RTK?
sentences plus RTK.
Okay, and they have 1.5 hours for immersion as well.
It looks like he's only got 1.5 hours for study and immersion. How do you divvy it up?
Per day. Well, I would say, well, you have to get those reps in, especially when you're. See, I feel like you're going to end up with regardless of what you do, you're going to end up with a poor result with that. There's not really any avoiding that, right? So if you want to hold the most information, all the information is going to be slipping through if you don't immerse enough. But I'd say at least 30 minutes is probably Anki,
Right.
and then 1 hour immersion. Because I mean, what can you really do in that case? That's just too little.
And
If you really want to get good quickly, guys, you need at least like 2.5 hours, and then I would probably 2.5 hours. We could still probably keep Anki at 30 minutes at the beginning for 2 hours. We want to immerse as much as possible, really, if you really want to get good, in a reasonable amount of time. Let's be honest.
and what I would say is if you're doing Anki, whatever, review what you do reviews first, then add new stuff second. Like don't feel like you gotta add new stuff throughout the review.
Here we go.
Okay.
I
Let's
found
see.
how to do this.
Oh, by the way, he said he was 2,500 sentences. Let's see. I've blown through, immersed.
Okay. Yeah, it's
there's
about the same.
no questions being asked. All right, so I guess really nothing. All right, so for people wondering, saying yes, I am. I do look older than my voice. I do look older than my voice, so I look like I'm 50, but I'm in my early 40s, and yeah. So there you go. I am
He
not.
said,
Yeah, what's up?
hold on. There is a question. You're only in your 40s.
Yeah, no, I look older.
Damn, yeah, that's surprising.
It's the gray hair. My dad had a full head of gray hair by the time he was my age. So
You're only in your 40s for real shit, dude. Dye your hair or something. Damn.
why?
Nah, you don't
here's
have
that
to,
bald
man.
spot right there. Yeah.
Shit. Alright, so he's asking me, how do you go about learning sentence that you don't understand despite knowing all the words and grammar in the sentence? Just skip it. Skip it. Go on to the sentence that you understand. You'll be surprised that you'll come back and you'll understand that sentence later.
And if you're doing my method of drama study, it's hey, you got the English subtitles there. You know, maybe use that as a help you with the figure out what the sentence is trying to get across.
Is that it? Like that's all we got, guys?
They're just keep talking about my age
no
now.
questions? Are you both fans of Matt's suggestions of the JLPT decks? I don't know what that is. I don't know what his suggestions are.
Well, I'm actually trying to help develop that now. Calculus says what he did. He typed up the books, and what I'm doing now is he's already split the audio for a couple of the books. I'm splitting up the audio for what he's studying now,
I see.
and we're trying to put into a
Sorry.
we're trying to put that out in something that people can just use. So if they bought the book, they want to study that way. Here's the Anki deck. You want to study Take Him? Here's the Anki deck. You want to study Genki? Well, I ain't fucking making a good Anki deck for Genki, but you're SOL there. But if it exists, I'll save it and share it. That's my opinion. It's like I don't mind even if I'm not going to study it or I don't recommend studying it. If people are using Genki, I would if I had an Anki deck for Genki, I would give it to them because I think it would be much better learning Japanese through Genki with Anki than without. As long as they're also doing the immersion. If they're doing the immersion, I think really the methods are debatable, but the end result's going to be everyone's getting better in Japanese. The immersion, like you're saying, it's all about the immersion, massive immersion approach. I just want to the only change I say to that or caveat is that I want 30% of that immersion, of the background immersion to be comprehensible audio. what you're actually watching, yeah, fucking, it could be Voyager. It could be Star Trek and Netflix, Star Trek: The Next Generation. Set your region to Japan. Turn on Star Trek: Next Generation. Watch the entire eight seasons. Watch 150 hours worth of sci-fi Japanese. And that if you just did that, you'd still be getting better and better in Japanese, right? It's whatever you're doing that's fun that gets you watching Japanese. That's the immersion part. The background audio. Now you may think it's boring, but again, that's debatable. But it should still be background audio.
Let's keep on the question. Yeah. The question was just about the JLPT decks, man. Because I gotta go. Like I said. Yeah.
Okay.
So he said, "Is pitch accent a pain in the ass?" Pitch accent, as far as I've only studied it limited, to a limited extent. I found it actually really easy. And I talked with Matt and I showed him my progress, and he agreed that I seemed to be making good progress. So I'd say once you're pretty, advanced, it seems like it's something that you can. Well, it might be the result of my, having studied Chinese, because I can hear pitch pretty well. So I don't know, but it seemed to be something that is, that I can, pick up pretty quickly. But I need a lot of time. What do you think about books like Shinkansen Master Vocab, which is essentially a vocab list with one example sentence? Is this shit compared? Yeah, I don't know anything about any of these things, so go ahead.
All right, if it doesn't have audio, don't worry about it. We've got resources with audio. That's all. If it's a vocabulary lists are easy to make. We can do scans of, all the subtitles that have been released in the last 10 years and give you a better vocab list. That doesn't matter. Vocabulary list does not matter. Is there audio for it? All right, and then it's a matter of you just learning the words with the sentences. And that's what sentence mining is. Here's a sentence, here's something new. Usually it's a new word. There you go. But it's always going to be what you use that's inefficient is better than what you don't use that's the most efficient in the world. All right, and it looks like you're just about to really crash.
Yeah, I'm a little tired. For sure. Okay, hold on. There's one. Yoga, do you think 1.5 hours of study is enough to make progress? Hey guys, if you can make it so that my name, I don't know how you do it, but if you make my name show up in orange, that would be sweet, because then it's really easy to, I don't want to have to read everything.
Okay. Oh, I see that now. Okay. Yeah, you have to see how it you got to be the whole name, or YouTube doesn't show it
or something. Yeah. I see. So do you think that 1.5 hours is enough to make progress? Yeah, I think, I only was studying Korean or something for 1.5 hours a day, and I made progress. But I think if you want to make progress with that, it's probably better to just really focus more on Anki at the beginning, and then switch that, to do, quite a bit of Anki, because you want to get a nice basis, and then later switch, at the beginning maybe do that, and then switch over to doing just more immersion later, and then just a tiny bit of Anki. That's how I would do it. I'm not sure if that's correct.
Here's what I recommend. Here's how I would explain Anki real quick. When you're doing immersion, so if you're learning beginning words, you can probably delete those early on, because you're going to be experiencing it through the immersion. But with Anki, hopefully it is, you're trying to get your spacing to the point where now the immersion covers the spacing. So so at the beginning, Anki looks like fun, but you really do you need it if you're doing the immersion. You'll find out later on, those words that you've learned it, but now since you've immersed, it's in your immersion process. In the shows you watch, all of a sudden you realize those are the words you can delete really fast. Then the more common, then we get into the more rarely used.
That's the point of the death point.
And with the less common words, okay, it'll take a little bit longer for immersion, where you can start seeing this enough where in your immersion. So it takes a little bit longer, so maybe it'll stay in your Anki deck a little bit longer. But eventually you got to say, is anything past a year, is it really worth it? You're not trying to be a PhD in Japanese literature, because even Japanese people aren't that. Real quick question by Russell Blunt, Matt Matthias. People who say to hold off reading for about the first year outside of Anki, did someone actually do that? Is that test? I don't know if it's tested or not, but I don't know. I don't think you need to put off reading. Just read with audio. And I think for beginners, the audio is the TV show, and the reading is the subtitles outside of Anki. That's your reading. And you don't want to read. You don't want to do that all the time. That should be if you're doing immersion, 30 minutes of your immersion is that, and then the rest of it's with the subtitles turned off and just listening. And then
All right, I'm gonna take
Yep.
this last question, and I gotta go.
okay,
When will I start my second channel? I don't know, man. Maybe sometime soon. I'm trying to just live my life and not put any pressure to do anything except what I like code and those things I'm trying to do. But I would like to put some videos up on there at least within the next month. Let's set reasonable timelines because I really want to get the yoga player out. Okay.
all right.
So because those videos will have to be edited because a lot of those are old videos and they're, man, as you will see, they are terribly done because I am a really bad cameraman. You will see that in the future. I am just like, so there's some editing to be done with those videos. So that's gonna be it's gonna be a little bit those are gonna be released at a slower pace, guys. Okay.
Do you want me to? By the way, do you want me to put that link to the red pill, or hold off on that? Put the link to the Discord, or no?
Sure. Yeah, you can put the beta. You can put the Enki beta thing, and you can put Twitter and just YouTube.
I tell you what, message me what you'd like to put in the video description, and that'll solve that problem. Okay.
Well, do you know? Okay, hold on. I'll message now. Okay, guys, I'm leaving now.
All right, so I'm going to stop the stream here. All right, so this is Lucas, aka Yogapants. This is Nukemarine, aka Nukemarine, the guy who looks 60.
I'm exhausted, guys. I'll be honest. Yeah, the guy that looks 60 is Nukemarine. Don't mistake him for Yogapants, please. No, I'm just playing with you. But let's see.
All right, so I'm going to stop the stream now. All right, so thank you all very much.
Bye, guys.
I'll post this information that Yoga's going to send me in the description below, and hopefully, yeah, that's about it. All right, later, guys.
Cool. Thanks a lot, guys. Enjoy.